It's 2023. Vehicles and cars have come so far in technology, but sometimes, just sometimes, it's best to go a little bit old school with mods with your car. And today we're going to be talking about the good old-fashioned Scangauge II.
Stop it. We're not saying that on camera.
5 reasons why you may want to go old school and install Scangauge on your Overland rig. Sometimes keeping it simple is best. This thing doesn't require too much to hook up, and you get an inside look into your vehicle that you otherwise wouldn't get. First and foremost, we got to check out live vehicle data. You can see things like engine temp, exhaust temp, transmission temp, battery voltage. Number 2, fuel economy. Now, fuel economy isn't the reason why we build an Overland rig, but it's nice to know how you're doing with your MPGs. Number 3, it says it can give you enhanced performance, so we're going to check that. And what I mean by enhanced performance is you can see actual corrected speed of your vehicle. A lot of us on our Overland rigs run bigger tires and don't really calibrate the speedometer, but with a Scangauge you can calibrate the speedometer. Number 4, you could do customized data. Some vehicles allow for this thing called X mode, where you can view other pieces of information that otherwise don't come stock. And then finally, the 5th reason why you might want to run a Scangauge on your rig is ease of install. All you got to do is mount it somewhere, double-sided tape, L bracket, Velcro, and plug it into the OBD2 port. That's it. Heck, I've had many OBD2 readers in my life. I've had some that have been Wi-Fi, I've had some that have been USB, I've had some that have been radio, Bluetooth, and honestly, all of those have been finicky. We're gonna find out if this is finicky or it's actually worth having. Let's install this bad boy, shall we? Install this was super easy. Use the Velcro that was supplied by Scangauge, plug it into your OBD2 port, turn on your car, and you're done. But I wanted to make things just a little bit more clean. What we did was we got a nice little Scangauge holder from Etsy. I'll drop a link down below. And then I ran the wire all through here. This is kind of a dead space. Then up and around into here. The cool thing about the Scangauge is you can adjust how you want to scale your speedometer up or down. I have a Garmin Overlander here that tells me my actual speed in GPS. And since the Sequoia didn't come with 35s, my speedometer was always off. Since I have a Scangauge in here, I'm just gonna have the actual mile per hour after I scale to the tire size on the screen here. So for me, that's a really big deal. I also like that it's super clean. You can also change the color of the lights on the Scangauge. So let's take the Scangauge for a drive and see exactly what it does while the car is moving. All right, here's a great example of the Scangauge reading my actual speed versus the speed on my speedometer. It says I'm going 40, but the Scangauge reads 42. And that's what you need when you have bigger tires on your rig. Your speedometer is always going to read a little bit low. And instead of me getting a speeding ticket going 10 miles over in a 65, I'd rather know that I'm actually going 10 miles over instead of just it reading under. Another thing while you have your Scangauge all set up, do this before you start driving, but you can pick what kind of fields you want to look at. You can look at transmission temperature, horsepower. This is making 6.7 horsepower just idling. Battery voltage, intake air temperature, 64 degrees. Fuel pressure, if your car can read that. This is current miles per gallon or instant. And then you can go to engine RPM. You can also go to throttle position sensor, where is your throttle position, and then water temp, which you just saw. This one I like. This is average miles per gallon. Scangauge does some cool things that I will never use. You can enter how much gallons of gas you put in, how much it costs, and it can go and tell you, calculate your miles per gallon based on that. It also calculates miles per gallon based on size of engine. So if we go into here, we go into more setup, pressure units, engine size, 5.7 liters. That's how it knows the miles per gallon. Tank size is 26 gallons, fuel type's gas, currency is dollar. Advanced settings, distance in miles, all that stuff. Another thing you can do here with the Scangauge is you can scan and you can see if any engine codes were found for your check engine lights. I don't have any check engine lights, thank goodness. We can get out of there and go back to gauge. All in all, the Scangauge gives you information at an eye's glance while you're driving. It's not a revolutionary piece of tech, doesn't sync to your phone, doesn't tap into Wi-Fi, doesn't do a lot of advanced features, but what it does do is give you reliable data based on your vehicle at that given moment. And sometimes when you're off grid or driving in the dirt, that kind of stuff is super valuable. Is the Scangauge II worth the money in 2023? In my opinion, yes, it's worth it. Because when I'm off-roading, I need to look at things like this. I need to look at my voltage. I need to look at my transmission temp. I need to see my actual speed. And for one little box to do all that for me for a low price, it's totally worth it. Yeah, are there other monitoring systems out there that use the OBD2 sensor? Yes. Are there other things out there that are a little bit smarter and can probably dive deeper into your car's electronical system? Yeah, probably. But for me, this is so tidy and so neat that this is worth the money. If you guys run a different gauge on your rig, or you have something else like an app or a live display to your car screen, let me know. Maybe I'm just behind the ball here, but for me, this is totally worth the amount of money and the value that it gives me. If you disagree, let me know. Other than that, we will see you guys on the next one. I'm gonna go take this thing for a spin, head back home, enjoy the beautiful sunny day out here in Gig Harbor, and I'm gonna wrap it. We will see you guys on the next one.